bear with me لحقاش غادي نغرد خارج السرب شي شويه. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom through stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon and gentles all the flat, unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? Suppose that within the girdles of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts, into 1,000 parts divide one man and make imaginary puissance. Think, when we talk of horses, that you see them printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For it is your thoughts that now must deck our kings. That was Shakespeare. Now, back in the days when an English audience could understand every single word of that old version of English, the audience would stand transfixed, frozen physically, but their minds would wander and roam, places and spaces. I have nothing against movies. I'm a big fan of movies. But there's something to live performance that is unparalleled and unmatched. When I show you a story, I impose my version of the story onto you. When I tell you a story, I allow 1,000 people to make their own movies in their own heads, and no movie resembles the other. There's power to live performance. And in this mighty, beautiful city of Casablanca, where I was born, if you walked up to anybody in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, and you asked them about the highlight of their week, they would tell you, it's the weekend. I'm going to take my kids to Al Masrah Al Baladi, a beautiful building that stood here in this city. That was the highlight of their week. There was a whole culture in this city and country, because people would flock from all over the country to Casablanca to attend their favorite singer, to watch Touriya Jabran, right? Nezla Ghiwan, right? Can you imagine that Kulthum stood in that theater and sang your parents' favorite songs? Probably you're not a fan of Kulthum. Can you imagine that Jacques Brel stood there? Mahmoud Darwish stood there and spat his poems like fire and bullets. But it was demolished. It was brought down, reduced to rubbles. They were dark times. And people at the time thought that, we could do without it. But they broke an entire generation's dreams and aspirations. So if I'm standing here today, it's to say that in these ages, in these times of machine and AI, all pursuits are noble pursuits. To quote Keating, the dear departed Robin Williams, we do not write or read poetry because it's cute. We write and read poetry because we're members of the human race. And members of the human race are filled with passion. Medicine, e-commerce, engineering, they're all noble pursuits and necessary to sustain human life. But poetry, stories, love, these are things we live for. Thank you very much.